We moved up here to Capilano Road when I was about 5 years old. My father, I think, looked at this park here at one point thinking it might be good for a housing development. But he came to his senses and decided, well, there's a suspension bridge here, maybe we can do something with this. In 1983, my father decided to sell this property. I wasn't really interested in the business. In fact, I had no experience in business. But the more I thought about it, I thought this property has been in our family, well, since 1952. And for some reason, I just didn't want to see it sold to somebody else. So I decided that I would purchase it from him. I think my father particularly was happy that I bought the business because he had 2 daughters and no son to pass the business to. So I think he was quite thrilled when I said, well, I want to take it on. I'm going to do something with this. I would wander around the park and I would hear people saying, well, I wonder, why is this bridge here and why is this park here and who built this? And then that led me to do research on this attraction because it's been here since 1889. We were lucky enough to come across a family that had been part of the earlier owners. And the one fellow, he had a collection of letters that this woman had written every day to her daughter. So it gave us an amazing insight into how the attraction was in those early days and what she had hoped for. She was European, and she brought beautiful plants from all over the world. She built the tea house, which is now the trading post, because she wanted to have high tea. We always consider the history. That's at the base of everything that we do. We always want to relate what we're doing to the original settlers that were here and what their objectives were and what the true story is here. We're always constantly working on developing our story here at the park. I mean, it's a beautiful park, but we're unique because we have a history. The story is in nature. We don't want to become too commercial. I went to Expo probably every day. I can't imagine how many times that I went. And I determined that the best pavilion was the Northwest Territories. And then I found out that the fellow who designed it, his name was David Jensen. So he was the person that I called. And he did a fantastic job in terms of helping me with the research and then putting the whole thing together, finding an architect to build the building to house the exhibitory. And that exhibit, almost 40 years later, is beautiful and extremely well done. The one thing, for some reason, I thought I knew something about, and that's retail. It was something that turned out I was quite good at, and I knew how to search products that were different from what people were used to seeing in tourist attractions. That was one of the first parts of the business that did really well, was the retail. And I was very excited because I had an appointment with a very important tour operator by the name of Robert Brennan. I started to tell him about Capilano and how great it was. He interrupted me and he said, "Now, I need to stop you right there, Miss Lady, because I am not going to come there again. I want to tell you, I've been there." He said, "But I had the worst experience with the young woman who was running your cafe at the exit. And because she was so rude to me, I am never going back." So I thought, oh, wow, this is a bit of a problem. Obviously, I need to take this to heart and need to learn as much as I can about guest service, and I need to learn quickly. So I took myself off to about a 5-day course at Disney in Los Angeles. So that was kind of my starter kit. After 3 years of talking to Robert at trade shows, I finally convinced him to come back. He was thrilled, and he actually became one of our best advocates. And he was a very important person in the tour operator world And so he told every other tour operator about us. So we became very popular very quickly. He really helped grow our business, really. I became very involved with, it was called Tourism BC at the time. We did a sort of a travel show all over North America, sort of building all the hype around Expo. It was the beginning of Vancouver's birth, really, in terms of being a global destination. I became the chair of Tourism Vancouver, and I chaired a huge task force to make sure that that convention center got built, because I knew after watching Expo that would really make Vancouver fly. I was still part of Tourism Vancouver when the Olympics was an opportunity, so I got very involved in that, in terms of helping other organizations and other businesses see how important it was for our city to have the Olympics here in Vancouver. With Expo alone, that summer our visitation doubled. Well, Vancouver then and Vancouver now, I mean, look at our skyline. It's fantastic. I only go for the opportunities that I think are beautiful. The Pavilion and Prospect Point in Stanley Park. We have our Moraine Lake destination. You can't find a more beautiful place than that. Someone said, you know, there's this little old lodge on this beautiful lake. I thought, oh, well, I better go up and have a look. So I drove down this long road and I thought, oh, I don't know where this is going. And then before my eyes, I saw the Valley of the 10 Peaks, which was on the back of the $20 bill for many, many years. And it was just awesome, beautiful. But then I arrived at the lake. The lodge that was there that was for sale was just a broken down, kind of ratty old place, and there was a few cabins and so on. So I thought, oh, I don't know what I can do with this. And then I thought, well, who's the best architect? Well, Arthur Erikson, I thought. So we got him up there to have a look. And now it's just a stunning place. He always claimed it was his best building ever, and the best and most beautiful location he'd ever seen as well. I found another glorious location on the Kicking Horse River, also in the Canadian Rockies, and we built a beautiful lodge there as well. And then I moved on to Tofino, and we have a beautiful piece of waterfront there, and we're building a hotel there as we speak. I love my team. I love their energy. When I pass through the park, I hear comments, and that makes me pretty happy to have been involved in creating an experience. I call it creating experiences that people are amazed by. I like the journey. I like the doing. I like being involved in all and every detail. That's where I get my joy. We see about 1.3 million people. When I first started, it perhaps was around maybe 100,000 people. So it's grown quite dramatically over the years. I often get asked to speak at women's groups, and the most common questions I get are about what experiences did you have in terms of barriers to becoming successful. My answer to that is yes, there were barriers. I didn't focus on them. I didn't think about them. And I think that was very helpful in terms of me being successful in business. I did not pay attention to barriers. My parents certainly were proud, and I am happy particularly that my father was proud of what I created here. And he did see some of the stores that I created and also Moraine Lake, so that gives me pleasure. Well, I'm hoping that I have created a legacy, and I hope that my children and grandchildren will be able to participate in some way, helping this venture go long into the future. We've been here 131 years. Well, I'm hoping they take it forward another 131